Good morning and happy Blessed Friday. I was thinking about the relationships that people have with their jobs, careers, professions. And to me, it brought up the question, who are you? Are you what you do, or are you an individual? And I think that question is super important to ask because I have seen people unable to separate what they do from who they are, and it becomes problematic. A good example or good examples could be a therapist, a police officer, a child care worker, um, a social worker, um, anything in like the helping profession, a server. Do you know how to separate those things and plenty of things, plenty of other professions like technology? Are you technology, or are you a technical person and good at your job? Can you be technical in the job? You can be technical outside of the job, but there's a different level of that. As a therapist, I don't aim to um, give people therapy sessions outside of the room more than I am a very inquisitive person and ask questions to try to understand the person whom I'm in the presence of, and to see if I mesh well with them or not. As a police officer, are you policing people when you're off duty, or when you put that take that uniform off? Are you an individual? Do you have fun? Can you have fun? Or are you constantly on guard and on watching and policing people and watching everything that they say and do? Um, are you a social worker when you're off work? Are you constantly giving people resources and um, not able to just enjoy being in the moment with other people? So those are just a couple of examples. I remember years ago, there was, and this was quite a few years ago, there was someone that I met and I had asked him, um, are you, he was a police officer. Is this what you do, or is this who you are? And that question to me back then is still very relevant today, because I didn't want to feel like I was not able to really get to know the person outside of their job. I wanted to know who the person was outside of the uniform and not feel like I was in the presence of a police officer at all times. And that's no shade on the profession, because I know plenty of police officers who are officers on duty and then individuals off the clock. Um, but it helped me to ask enough questions again to understand, well, who am I going to be getting to know, and who will I be in the presence of? I know that there are plenty of people who work very hard to get certifications, to many years of schooling to get a degree, to be in a field, and they're there for so many years that if something were to happen, they wouldn't know who they are. And I find that quite perplexing. I'm so many things outside of being a therapist. There are so many other things that I love to do outside of therapy. And so if therapy was not an option, I wouldn't know what to do. I would know how to shift. And separation in anything that you do from who you are is super important. I think when you're at work, you should be your best at the job that you do. But when you're off work, you should be the best at knowing how to be who you are outside of what you do. And nurturing those things, nurturing yourself outside of the work that you do. There are, well, recently I heard someone say, now that we're sheltered in place, that they didn't know what to do with themselves, and that they were questioning a lot of things about themselves now that they couldn't do their job. And I'll be honest with you, I had a moment where I thought to myself, that's really sad. That's really sad that this person is trying to understand what their existence is because they can no longer do the job that they enjoy doing. And don't get me wrong, I love the job that I do, but it's not so deeply intertwined with who I am that if it again wasn't an option, that I would be sitting up here twiddling my thumbs. Another example, when people are in relationships and that relationship ends, and they've been in a relationship for quite a few years, and they've learned to be so enmeshed with the person that now that the person is no longer there, they don't know what to do with themselves. And that example is complicated, because when you spend days and nights with someone and it's consistent, and you have patterns, and you have routines, and then it stops, of course you're going to have to go through a phase of understanding what happened with the relationship, but not so deeply to a point where you question your existence or who you are as an individual. um, the relationships that we have with our children, when they leave the home, and they're separating and they're trying to go into the world, as a mother, I don't question me as a person, because a mother was something that I did. It is who I am and will always be, whether my son comes home or takes off and continues to fly and never comes back to the nest. I had a period of time where that was my duty, that was my job, and so what I did was I rocked it. I rocked the heck out of it. I was the best mother that I could be, under in all circumstances. But I'm learning now to separate, or have been learning now to separate what I did as a mother from who I am as an individual. Um, and that example is a tough one, because yeah, I'm always be a mom, but I don't have to take care of anyone the way that a mother does when you're raising a young kid every single day. Now the kid is out there and he's taking care of himself, and when he needs me, hey, I'm here. Um, and getting back to what I love to do, and finding new things that I love to do and nurturing those, you know, outside of being a therapist, outside of being a mother, outside of doing mental health consulting, I love art. I love puzzles. I love reading some books. I love watching certain kinds of movies. I love to read the Bible. I love to spend time with my family and friends. I love walks and the sun and all these things that don't have anything to do with the profession. I love asking questions. I'm a deep thinker. Now, those things can sometimes get mixed up and intertwined with what I do. Um, and I've had people ask, or say, "Oh, you're trying to give me therapy," and not the case at all. I am a deep thinker naturally. I'm a person who asks questions naturally, and I want to know who the heck I'm around. So I'm going to ask the questions that I need to ask to feel safe, to feel like I know that this person is trustworthy, consistent, reliable, and plenty of other things before I will allow myself to be in the presence of them for periods of time. But it's just important. It's important no matter what kind of relationship you're in, whether it be with a job, career, profession, a person, to be able to manage the individual, outside of the organization, the company, the job, the profession, whatever it is. Because at the end of the day, the one constant is and will always be you. And if you don't know who you are, how will anybody else? Thank you for listening. I love you. Happy Blessed Friday.